Okay, students, let us start our session. My name is Gaurav Bansal and we are doing this current affairs revision for the financial system. And this session is recorded for the PT 2023, may remain relevant for the coming time also. Now, let us start with the major terms or topics which have been in news in the previous year. So the first term here is SDF, which means Standing Deposit Facility. So this is one of the most important news because this is now a new tool in monetary policy. So if you remember, in the monetary policy we discussed that there are two types of tool: quantitative tool and qualitative tool. In the quantitative tools, earlier we had repo, reverse repo, bank rate, okay, and the marginal standing facility. Now, in addition to that, we also have SDF. So this system has been introduced already, and under this system, RBI has created a new tool wherein the rate of interest will be slightly less than the repo rate. It is 25 basis point less than the repo rate, and at this rate we are going to take the excess liquidity from the banks. For example, a bank has excess money which it has not been able to create loan, then that money can be deposited with RBI, can be kept with RBI, and bank can get interest on that. So this facility is going to do that, and this is based upon the Urjit Patel committee report, although this is a bit different than what Urjit Patel suggested. Earlier when we used to study, the idea was that it will become the floor of the monetary policy range. That means it would be the lowest interest rate offered by the government, or the lowest policy rate simply. But that is not how it has been introduced now. So that is all about the SDF, Standing Deposit Facility. Now, the next is Extended Credit Line Guarantee Scheme. This I will cover through the question, and basically this was a scheme which was started for MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises during the COVID crisis, so that these companies which were finding it really difficult to survive can get some support. And this scheme is considered to be very successful as per the economic survey this year. So this has been extended and more budget is allocated. So that is why it is in news. E-rupee pilot project. Pilot project itself is not very important here, but E-rupee itself is important. So they may ask you about the wholesale rupee, wholesale digital rupee, okay, or they may ask you the difference between the cryptocurrency and the digital rupee, or simply anything in general about the concept of digital rupee. So that is about the E-rupee pilot project. So far it has been introduced at a wholesale level, but it has not been made available for common public like us. So we will discuss more features about it when there will be question about it. Doom loop. Now doom loop is also an important development. Doom loop is kind of a series of recession after recession, bad news after bad news, where one crisis lead to another crisis lead to further another crisis. Okay, so one leading to second crisis leading to third crisis, and so on. So in a way, you are going to doom, and it is a loop. It is constantly repeating. The nature of crisis may be different, but you are moving from one crisis to another crisis. So unfortunately, after COVID, this is constantly happening with the world economy for past 3 years. First there was COVID. Immediately there were lockdown, there were challenges. As soon as lockdowns were removed, then we found out that there were other problems related to supply side challenges. The workers which were laid off from various facilities refused to return, and the world productivity and the production system got affected. As soon as this problem was resolved to little extent, by that time Russia-Ukraine war started. And now as Russia-Ukraine war is going on, and the world was in a way was becoming accustomed to it. I wouldn't say getting over it, but getting accustomed to it. The multi-banking failures in USA and the warning of recession across the Western world, that has skyrocketed the fears for ongoing doom loop. So doom loop is a very strong term, but unfortunately that is going on for some time now. Next is reverse auction, that I will discuss through a question. Okay, this year's Nobel Prize also I will discuss through a question, which was basically for the Diamond Dividend model, and the model was basically about central banking, how the deposit insurance scheme is good for the bank and how it can prevent the bank run, how the CRR system of India is helpful. Number of things are there, but primarily it was about deposit insurance and the bank run. These are the two major points. So there were three recipients: Ben Bernanke, Diamond and Dubig. So these three people jointly received the Nobel Prize. The model was developed by the Diamond Dubig, and apart from that, Ben Bernanke has also given various theories about central bank. Although his choice is a bit strange because he's the person who was the head of the Forex Reserve of USA, or sorry, not Forex Reserve, the Federal Reserve of USA, when all of those major crises happened. And in fact, he took his charge a long time before the crisis. So he was already there when this crisis was brewing. And his term as a central banker is considered as a spectacular failure. So strange still that he gets the Nobel Prize for economics as a central banker. Strange. Debt Recovery Tribunal has been in news. So although it's a very standard topic, nothing very special or new about it, just that it is in news again. So be aware of it. I will not discuss it here because I have to keep it short. Inflation targeting by MPC has also been in news. It is not a new concept. All of us are aware of inflation targeting. So 4 plus minus 2 is the inflation target band for the MPC. But it is in news because MPC constantly missed the target. And it was asked to explain the reason. So you need to understand after what duration is MPC asked to explain why it is not missing the target. For how many quarters it can miss the target and it is considered acceptable. And what are the other associated rules, regulations regarding inflation targeting. Since it was in news, there may be a question about it. Sovereign green bonds. This is a topic which I've already discussed in the topic on the bonds. If you have not seen that discussion, please watch that. That is very, very useful for the PT. So if there is a question, I will cover it separately. Blue bond has also been in news, but again, both blue bond, green bond have been covered in the topic on the bonds. So check it out in the playlist, you will find it. Another term that was in news was Finfluencer. Now SEBI is reportedly angry on various social media influencers who are providing stock tips, and many of them are actually using it for their personal benefits. Many of them are trying to play the stock market, trying to create a certain behavior. And there are various very big groups on Telegram, on YouTube, where people make stock or purchase calls, which is not allowed as per SEBI. You cannot give a call to a big group to buy simultaneously, sell simultaneously. So that is illegal. You can provide stock advice, that is allowed, but you should not give them a specific time on a specific day that all of us will buy then, all of us will sell then. That is considered manipulation and that is punishable by law. So you need to understand that very clearly. So that is why it is in news. So social media influencers trying to manipulate stock behavior is a very serious challenge. And it has been in news constantly. So be mindful of that. RBI on digital lending, nothing very special about it. Okay, so you can read about it, just that it has been in news. I'm just highlighting what is important for this PT, what has been in news. Shrinkflation is another topic. Shrinkflation is basically the system where instead of increasing the price, the size of the product reduces. For example, let us say a packet of Lay's, which was available for 10 rupees, is still available for 10 rupees. But in the 10 rupees earlier, you were getting 35 gram of chips. Now maybe you are getting 26 grams of wafers. So that is the shrinkflation. You have not increased the price, but you have reduced the size or the volume or the weight. So that in a way has affected the people same as the price rise. Okay, now let us look at the further news. Another topic which was in news was UPI. And now UPI constantly was in news throughout the year about the records it is making, number of digital transactions in India. Then German minister visiting in India using UPI and calling India miles ahead of Germany. Various news have kept UPI constantly in news. So just be aware of it. I'm not saying anything new about UPI is there, just the standard UPI, United Payment Interface. You should know everything about it because it can come in news. There was a very high frequency with which it was covered. Short selling. Okay, short selling was also in news, particularly regarding the Adani issue. And the American company that raised the challenge, the Hindenburg. Okay, so Hindenburg is known to be a short seller. What is short selling? Basically, you buy shares and then you sell shares. But in short selling, you do not buy them, you sell them first. Later you buy and then you give to those from whom you have borrowed or to whom you have sold. So in India, naked short selling is not allowed. Naked short selling is that you sell without having a share and later on you buy and then give the share. Okay, so you have T+1 period for settlement, trading day plus one more working day. So for example, you purchase a stock on Saturday and then you get time until Monday evening to deliver the stock to the other party. So in between you can actually buy the stock. So you sell the stock at a high price, and since a lot of people are doing it, the chances are the prices are going to fall and you will benefit. So that is what Hindenburg has been doing all the time. Because of Adani issue, this has been in news and there may be a question on that, although I do not really expect too technical issue to be asked. Municipal bond I've already covered in the bonds topic. It has been in news, try to cover it. Okay, I've repeated many topics here because this is a comprehensive list of the in news current affairs from last year regarding the financial system. Similarly, integrated banking ombudsman was also in news. I will cover it through a question here. Social stock exchange has also been in news, and again I've covered it in the topic of bonds. So in the topic of bonds, I've covered many special topics, and I positively expect a question to be asked from that particular discussion. Social stock exchange remain a relevant topic. So it has introduced, or it is going to introduce rather, a very new type of a bond in India, that is zero coupon and zero principal bonds. Already we have a bond like that, and that is electoral bond, but this will introduce many such more bonds for NGOs. Then there was a topic follow public offer, which was also in news again due to Adani issue. Okay, so follow up offer or the rights issue, both of them have been in news. So basically, when a company issue more share to the existing shareholder, that is the rights issue. The existing shareholders have the first right to get the shares. And when a company which is already listed, whose shares are already available in market, that company issue more share, that is called follow up. So rights issue is also a follow up, but that is a special type of a follow up. Okay, so follow up is the general term, rights issue is a special type of follow up. So this has been in news. Municipal bond index is along with the municipal bonds, and you should cover it. Virtual trade facility, just cover it, nothing specially to cover here. Basically a broader list here. Liquidity trap, I've covered a special video on liquidity trap as a concept, and this was in news constantly this year, so be aware of it and please read that, because I think I have a 6 to 7 minutes video if I'm not wrong. Okay, I did it almost a month ago, so cover that. Okay, I will provide a link maybe to that video in the comments. Plain Manila bond I will cover in the discussion through a question. Insider trading has been in news, and this has been in news regarding Finfluencer and many other issues. Insider trading is the phenomena when the owner or promoter of a company deals with the shares of his own company and try to gain from some information which is available exclusively to him or her. Because they are owner of the company, they know what kind of deal company is getting into. So before other people come to know about it, they try to take advantage of it. So that particularly is insider trading, and that is illegal in India. Then variable reverse repo and fixed reverse repo. This I have already covered in the monetary policy topic. Basically, the standard reverse repo is the fixed reverse repo now, and this is a very low interest variable. Variable reverse repo is not a standard policy tool, but from time to time, if RBI feel that they need to take out more funds from the market, they can issue reverse repo at a different rate than what is the standard fixed rate. So that is variable reverse repo. Then we have a topic of spot exchange, which I will cover through a question, and same is the question of haircut. So many of these topics, in fact, I'm going to cover through the questions. Now let us start with the questions. Question number 1, which is actually from previous year. Although these are current affairs, but many of the topics, they become reoccurring in news. So I've included some of the questions as a example, as a sample, that these type of current affair have been asked from this topic, or something which is in news again has also been picked up. Now let us look at this question. It is about the Monetary Policy Committee, and we have to pick out incorrect. So it decides the RBI's benchmark interest rate. That is correct. Okay, we have to choose incorrect. So actually we are not going to include it. It is a 12-member body. This is wrong. It is a 6-member body. Okay, including the governor of RBI. So this is wrong, and we have to include it. Third, it functions under the chairmanship of Union Finance Minister. This is also wrong. It functions under the chairmanship of the Monetary Policy Committee head. Okay, so Monetary Policy Committee head is chosen from time to time. Fortunately, I have a bragging right here. The first chairman of the Monetary Policy Committee was Professor Pamidua, and she is my teacher who taught me the econometrics and the statistics in the Delhi School of Economics. The current MPC chief is Ashima Goyal, my former associate. I've worked with her and I've published her book, and I did other works also. Okay, so I've been associated with her also, and even in between Chetan Ghate has been MPC member. So I've been associated with him also. So I've been associated with many of these members because I was working in the research area in Indian economy. So anyways, that is where I had some bragging rights. Okay, so now answer here should be C, 2 and 3 only, because both of these are wrong. One is correct. Second, which one of the following statement correctly describe the meaning of legal tender money? Okay, let us look at the options. The money which is tendered in courts of law to defray the fee of legal case is wrong. That is basically stamp duty in context of India. B, the money which a creditor is under compulsion to accept in settlement of his claim. Okay, let us look at other option also. This looks good. Bank money in the form of check, draft, bill of exchange, etc. Okay, so nobody is under compulsion to accept. Okay, check, draft, bill of exchange, etc. So these are not legal tender. Legal tender is one which one has to compulsorily accept. Nobody can deny accepting those. So B is actually very close to it already. The metallic money in circulation in a coin, that is actually coins. So metallic money in circulation in a country. Coin is a legal tender, that is okay, but that is not the standard definition because there is non-metallic money also. So B is the answer. Now let us look at the next question. Question number 3. Merchant discount rate sometimes seen in the news. So incentive given by a bank to merchant for accepting payment through debit cards pertaining to that bank. That is wrong because bank charge a fee. They never give a discount. This is wrong. Amount paid back by banks to their customer, okay, when they use debit card for financial transaction for purchasing good or services. Well, bank do provide some points or some reward, etc. But that is not merchant discount rate. Okay, the statement is correct, but this is not related to merchant discount rate. The charge to a merchant by a bank for accepting payment from his customer through the bank debit card, that is actually correct. So when you make a payment, okay, to any shop through your debit card, so basically the shopkeeper is not going to receive the amount that you have paid. The shopkeeper is going to receive the lesser amount. Let us say the merchant discount rate is 1.1% and you have made a payment of 1000 rupees. So in that case, the other party is actually not going to receive the 1000 rupees. They are going to receive 998 rupees. Let us say, sorry, 989 rupees. Okay, 989 rupees. They will receive. 11 rupee will be charged by bank as merchant discount rate. So C is actually correct. D, the incentive given, it is not an incentive actually, so D is also automatically wrong. Answer is C quite clearly. Question number 4. With reference to the Bank Board Bureau, which of the following statement are correct? Okay, so this is 2022 and again I have a bragging right here as the person who suggested creation of Bank Board Bureau. So there was a committee which is known as the Pulin Nayak committee. So Pulin Nayak, Dr. Pulin Nayak from University of Rochester, he has been my former professor and he taught me public finance, taxation, public goods, externalities, these topics. Okay, so he has also been my former professor. Although this is not related to you, but sometimes I feel like, okay, telling about myself. So maybe other people I've been associated with. I've been privileged to work with some really great minds. So let us look at the options. The governor of the chairman of BBB. Okay, I think I made some mistake in noting it down. Okay, so maybe okay, let us take it like that. Second, BBB recommends for the selection of head of the public sector bank. That is correct. Third, BBB helps the public sector banks in developing strategies and capital raising plans. That is also correct. So 2 and 3 are correct. And basically governor is the chairman of BBB. That is actually wrong because BBB chairman is different. And you should also be aware that BBB has now been upgraded to a broader institution, which will not just select the chairman to the public sector banks, but also to many other institutions, government financial institutions. So please be aware of it. Now let's look at the next question. Question number 5. Now PYQ are finished. We are going to look at the specific question related to the topics I was talk about. So monetary policy corridor. In the context of Indian economy, which of the following statement correctly describe the phrase monetary policy corridor? So actually in the Urjit Patel committee, it was suggested that once standing deposit facility is created, it will be the lowest policy rate. It will create the bottom of the monetary policy corridor. What is monetary policy corridor? It is basically the difference between the lowest policy rate and the highest policy rate. Now the highest policy rate is MSF, marginal standing facility, and the lowest policy rate is the fixed reserve repo rate. So answer is C here. Okay, be aware of it very clearly. And why it can be asked? Because of SDF, standing deposit facility, it is in news again. So Answer is C for B. Fifth. Question number 6 about the doom loop. Okay, concept that I have mentioned earlier. The first statement is, and we have to find out the correct statements. The doom loop refers to the interconnectedness between banks and the sovereign debt. That is actually correct, because the doom loop talks about the sovereign debt ballooning and its effect on the banks. When countries are forced to increase their fiscal deficit, they take more loans, then that create pressure on the banks. So that is also related to the topic of doom loop. Second, the doom loop can lead to a vicious cycle where the financial health of the banks and the government deteriorates simultaneously. Okay, so if we look at this question, this statement, this is also a perfectly correct statement regarding the doom loop. So it is a vicious cycle where one bad thing leads to another bad thing. Third, the doom loop primarily affects the emerging economies and has no relevance in developed economies. This is absolutely wrong. In fact, this doom loop is primarily playing out in Europe. Fourth, the doom loop can create systematic risk and pose challenge to the financial stability. This is obviously correct. So answer should be 1, 2 and 4, C. Let us look at the next question. And now if you have any doubt regarding any of the question, kindly drop a comment. I will check it out and I will respond to you. Next question. Now this is about the Nobel Prize winning theory, the Diamond Dividend model. Okay, it's a theoretical model that explains the relationship between inflation and unemployment. No. The behavior of consumer in response to the changes in income. No. Okay, that is the income demand curve. Inflation unemployment is the Phillips curve. C, the causes of economic recession and business cycle. No. The occurrence of bank run and the role of deposit insurance. This is the correct option. So Diamond Dividend model is about the bank runs. Why do banks fail? Why do they run out of liquidity? Okay, and how deposit insurance can control it. So answer is D. Okay, you should be aware of all these new developments. Eighth, I mentioned emergency credit line guarantee scheme for MSME. Okay, so let's look at the options. Was launched by Government of India to provide support to. So answer is B, MSME, small and medium enterprises, okay, affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So I've already mentioned about this earlier, so I'm doing it quickly now. Next question. The Debt Recovery Tribunal. Okay, I mentioned this topic also and I said I will cover it through the question. Was established under which act? Now we have seen such questions also actually. Okay, direct factual questions. So now let us look at the options. The Recovery of Debt Due to Banks and Financial Institution Act 1993. With the objective of resolving dispute between the bank and the borrower. This is actually the correct answer here, and since this is absolutely factual question, we are not going to get along in a very long discussion here. The SARFAESI Act actually helps the bank in settling the collateral and selling it to ARCs, asset reconstruction companies. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 is not about debt recovery tribunal. It is a recent phenomena about initiating the proceedings for bankruptcy filing. The debt recovery tribunals were suggested by the Narasimhan Committee 1. So it is a very old institution. Since it was in news again, they can ask you. Okay. Since it is by Narasimhan Committee 1, it is in 1993. It is not as per the Regulation Act 1949. Answer is A. 10th, liquidity trap is a situation. Again, liquidity trap has been in news. So the central bank lowers interest rate to stimulate borrowing and investment. This is actually correct. Okay, there is nothing wrong, but this is incomplete. Central bank lowers interest rate, okay, to stimulate borrowing and investment. So this happens before the liquidity trap, but incomplete. Let us look at other options. Financial market experience high volatility and instability. That is also correct. Okay, but this is not explaining the reason why it happens. So both of these are partially correct. They are not completely wrong statement, but let us look at other option. Pardon me. Maybe we can find something better than these. Economic growth is stagnant and there is persistent lack of demand despite low interest rates. So that is actually the complete statement. That economic growth is stagnant. There is lack of economic growth. We are in recession. That is why central bank lower interest rate. The first doesn't talk about the condition. Then the lower interest rate is not able to revive the demand. So that is called liquidity trap. Okay, where changing liquidity is not going to help the situation. Government implement contradictory monetary policy to control inflation. That is also not correct. C is the answer. Question number 11. I think there is a typing mistake. The shrinkflation is a phenomena characterized by increase in the price of a specific product while other products remain unaffected. No. Decrease in the quantity or size of a product while price remain unchanged. This is actually correct. Simultaneous increase in both price and quantity of product. No. Increase in price of product accompanied by increase in its quantity or size. No. B clearly is the answer. Okay, very easy straightforward questions, but still they will give you concept revision before examination. 12th, in the context of monetary policy operation, the haircut refers to decrease in the nominal interest rate set by central bank. No, this is not at all related to the rates. A fiscal policy measure aimed at reducing government expenditure to control inflation. No. Okay. C, the process of reducing the face value of government bond to manage the public debt. This is somewhat correct actually. Okay, this is not completely wrong. D, the percentage deduction applied to the value of collateral when lending by the central bank to mitigate credit risk. That is actually the complete statement. So haircut, basically when a bank is going to borrow from central bank, let us say RBI, and it is going to give some of its bond as collateral. RBI is never going to give the exact value of the bond immediately to the bank. The loan that would be available will be of a lesser value, and how much loan would be available is decided by RBI as per the haircut. For example, let us say standard haircut is 5%. So if the bond is worth 1 crore rupee, RBI will give you only 95 lakh rupees loan on that. So that is haircut. Okay. So where you reduce the value of asset. When banks are going to recover their loans, there also haircut is used sometimes. For example, IMF accepted some of the haircut on its loans to Pakistan, where it is said that okay, we are going to accept some of the loss, we are going to accept 20% haircut. That means if Pakistan took a loan of $2 billion and with interest today $2.5 billion were payable, we will accept 20% less here. Okay, so we will accept it only $2 billion. So that is also haircut. Okay, so it has two contexts. Meaning is same actually. If you look at the technicality, both are the same thing. You are reducing the value of asset, discounting the value of asset. Next question. Which of the following characteristic is not typically associated with the plain vanilla bond? So I discussed that this has been in news again. So let us look at the answer. Variable interest rate tied to a benchmark. Okay, let us look at other option. Fixed maturity date, that is plain vanilla bond. Standard bond, plain vanilla. That means there is nothing special about it. This is the most standard type of bond. So fixed maturity date, that is correct. Periodic interest payment, that is also correct. Principal repayment at maturity, that is also standard feature. These are all standard feature. Variable interest rate tied to a benchmark is not a standard feature of the bond. So this is not a feature of plain vanilla bond. This has to be a special bond which offer you variable interest rate. Otherwise, a typical bond is going to give you the B, C and D features. 14. The integration of banking ombudsman scheme in India primarily aims to, I told you about banking ombudsman, this has been in news. So in this case, the answer is D, improve the efficiency and effectiveness of resolving consumer complaint against the bank. So if you have a complaint against your bank where you have an account or you have taken a loan from, then for that you can now raise complaint under the banking ombudsman scheme with the banking ombudsman. So this is for common people against the banks. Some students make a confusion. They think banks can use this scheme for raising complaint against RBI. That is not the case. Next question. Question number 15. Which of the following statement about spot exchange is not correct? A. Spot exchange refers to the immediate exchange of currencies. We have to identify not correct. So actually A is correct. B. The exchange rate for spot exchange is determined by the supply and demand in the forex market. That is also correct actually. C. Spot exchange involves settlement of a transaction within a short period, usually 2 business days. That is also correct actually. So A, B, C are all correct. D has to be incorrect actually. Spot exchange allow for the exchange of currency as predetermined fixed rate. That is incorrect. In the spot exchange, this is as per the market rate. Okay, there is no fixed rate here. So D is the answer. In the context of procurement processes, a reverse auction, I mentioned about reverse auction as well. So what is reverse auction? Standard auction is where you bid and the highest bidder get the product or the contract. In the reverse auction, it should be reverse. So lowest bidder should get the project or the product. So auction where lowest bidder wins the item being auctioned. B is the answer. So why do we have such kind of auction? When government issue tender to supply something, then actually people compete for the lesser price. Okay, government will buy who will quote the lowest. Basically, whenever there is auction for supply, not demand, then it is going to be reverse auction. So that is the concept of reverse auction, and that has been in news. So with that, I have covered the enough PT questions and I've covered almost all the major issues that have been news. So I hope these are going to be useful and maybe hopefully one of them will strike in the examination also. So best of luck students. Okay, now I will cover 3-4 more videos. Okay, and since not many days are left for examination, I will provide 2 videos a day from now onwards. So you will get 2 videos per day. Okay, so that everything can be covered very quickly. Now, if you like this video, please leave comment. If this has been helpful, please drop the comment and also like the video, share the video. Comment is very, very important because this improves the validity of the video in the YouTube algorithm. And this is very beneficial for the video. So please do that. Okay, so that would be your support for me if you think this session has been helpful. Thank you. Best of luck students.